Do you see that?
There was dude, I think the heartbeat of the team is actually that defensive line. And
Oh,
so
hell yeah.
I watch Tomlinson, I watch Hurst, I watch Zendarius, I watch Miles.
And those are some pickups.
Yeah, them four dudes, when they like you look for them on the sidelines, because like they were the first
I don't
ones.
do that. Yeah.
Yeah, they were the first ones that came over to DTR after their interception. It was like, kid, pick it up. We need you still. They're the first ones that came over to what's the kicker's name? Hopkins. After
Yeah,
that missed extra point, it was like, dude, we're gonna need you still. Like, watch those dudes. When them big, greasy dudes walk up and do something on the sideline, the team follows suit. So losing Watson, as much as the headlines make it feel and look like, oh no, now they're going to be rudderless. I don't think so.
Really not.
I think you can sub in a statue of a quarterback like Flacco, who's just not going to make mistakes, but will stretch a defense and keep it honest. I think you could sub in a Trent Dilfer kind of guy, which is what Flacco is. You can sub in anything if this kid loses his head, like say if he loses his head and he just like he shows us in this
DTR, you mean?
Yeah. Say he loses his head in this Denver game and we're like, all right, yeah, week to week, he's just a little too emotionally up and down to count on for a long run. So you get Flacco ready and you're like, Flacco, literally hand the ball off and keep the defense out of the box. Because the Steelers had like 10 dudes in the box in that second half. Like they was like, y'all not about to throw any
best pass rush.
Yeah.
Or second best pass rush in the game. Second, third, whatever. It doesn't matter.
The real heartbeat of the team is that defensive line, that front four, and Stefanski. So during the game, keep an eye on what those four do. Like our secondary is out there dancing, and everybody like Greg Newsome and Denzel.
I love that Schwartz told those guys that they got to dance.
I love it.
Dude. But man, since I was a little kid, dude, that's to me, that is part of sports. If those guys aren't out there doing dances, like, what are we doing? Like, if you're not dancing and like, be like, what are we doing, man? I thought that was the best thing. Whenever I read that, I was like, what are we doing if we're not like doing like dances and pimping home runs and shit? I was like, that makes it so much more fun.
I felt the same way during the Goosey era for LeBron them. Because people were like, no, don't do that. And they over there on the sideline, like river dancing and stuff. You remember that? You remember LeBron and Danny Green river dancing over there? And I was like,
that was right around the time that I tore my ACL. Like, I tore my ACL right before that. And I remember going into physical therapy. And these dudes, the guy that owned the physical therapy place. So this is Orlando, right? And then like they were playing Orlando then. And these guys are they're like, it's so disrespectful how they do that. And I was like, listen, guys, I said, what they're doing has nothing to do with Orlando or you. I said, these dudes are having fun playing basketball.
Playing for each other.
Yeah, they're playing for each other. They've been doing this since they were kids. Right. I said, you're here taking this personally. I said, get over it. I said, get over yourself, man. I said, think about like what you were doing when you were a little kid. I said, just enjoy watching basketball, man. I was like, whatever deal you got going on where it's upsetting you that these guys are like dancing, stop it. Yeah. They were laughing. These guys were laughing.
More to do with you. Yeah.
I told you by the time I was done, training, they would just laugh. Because every time we talk about the dances they were doing or all that stuff, they were like, all right. They were like, all right. And guess what happened? Fucking beat the Cats.
They killed him.
And LeBron walked off the floor without giving him 5 too.
Rayford Alston was out there like crip walking and stuff. Like everybody was dancing. Michael Petrus was like river dancing on us. So karma, like sports karma, works like that. Here, I'm gonna get us started. We're gonna talk a little bit of Browns, and then we're gonna transition over to these guys waking up from the dead. Okay.
Hang on, give me 1 second. I want to go get a LaCroix here, so for my throat.
It's basketball time.
gonna do everything in my power not to cough.
I think it's part of the show now. Like we Jig almost dying every episode is like, this is what we do.
Yeah.
I've come to be able to anticipate the coughing spells, and I prepare a take. I'm like, oh, he's about to lose it. All right, so here we go. So we
At least scoot off to the side.
all right, here we go.
It's basketball time.
Rubber Rim Job, season 3. I think Jig episode 6. I think.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
I think we're
We
our
6
cadence, underground.
Our cadence got broken up a little bit by both of us fighting off winter sickness, but we're back.
Yeah, we're back.
I'm finishing fighting up winter sickness, but I actually did it because I was on the road. I did like 10 cities in 10 days, Jig. I mean,
okay.
At the same time that the team started their road trip, their 4 nights, their 4 cities in 5 days or whatever they did, I started the exact same road trip. So we went to OKC. I went to OKC.
That's the one I wanted to hear about. Yep. Go on.
They went out west, and I kind of went up. So I went from OKC to St. Louis to Kansas City to Indianapolis to Akron, of course, to hug and kiss on my mom and watch the Browns beat the Ravens with her. Then through Pittsburgh over to Harrisburg, where I finally tried Primanti Bros for the first time.
Yep.
Down south into Charlotte.
Taking notes here because I got some stuff I want to talk about here. Go on.
All right. I have some terrible. Let me say something. There's guys on the board like Jack Brickman who are from Charlotte. Charlotte has a terrible food scene, and I don't care if I'm insulting a sister city. Let me tell you,
I've only eaten a handful of places out there. Go on. Elaborate, please.
I went to 3 different places. Everything I saw online, because I'm a foodie who does his research, I'm like, ooh, that looks great. And then it's like food truck. And I'm like, oh, okay, that looks great. It's like food truck. And I'm like, oh, okay. I love some food trucks, but I'm not about to spend top quality and like be like, all right, this is great if I can't sit down and kill it. You know what I'm saying?
What are they missing, do you feel like? Like, what are you looking for? And what are they like? You have an idea going in out there that you're looking for and something that they're missing, right? Because clearly people are going out there and enjoying their food scene. So give me kind of an idea.
So out of those 7 or 8 cities I already named, OKC, St. Louis, Kansas City, Indianapolis, Cleveland, of course, Pittsburgh, Harrisburg, then Charlotte. Charlotte had the worst food scene. And it was the established places were cultureless. Like it was like the box.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was it was like the big box places were the places with sit down eateries. But the actual places that you were like, wait a minute, I want to, because Charlotte is, I want to say it's predominantly minority, if I'm not mistaken. I think Mecklenburg County is majority minority. I said that totally ass backwards. It's black. Okay.
Yeah. I got it.
I'm talking in circles.
I ain't gonna be offended.
Charlotte is blackity black. And a lot of the good restaurants and the food spots and stuff that are established and entrenched and in premium places.
I just realized I'd never been to Charlotte. I was just thinking about it's Raleigh that I've been to a couple of times.
Oh yeah, Raleigh's got better food than Charlotte. Raleigh has
so I don't know a damn thing about Charlotte. Now
Raleigh
that I think
has this place that was like a mom and pop seafood place. And
Raleigh does?
Yeah. And
I've been to Raleigh and I like their food.
They brought out this it was like a Bloody Mary / whatever, but it was like there was crab in there was grilled cheese, there was lobster tail, there was all this stuff sticking out of there. It was like $100. They were like, if you finish this, you're going on the wall. I couldn't even finish it. It was so much food. That was in Raleigh. But Charlotte is absent all of that. And I dig, man. So like when I think we had 4 or 5 hours in between major cities when I left Harrisburg to get to Charlotte. So I was doing research for about 3 of those hours. And I was looking, searching. The one place that we did settle on didn't have any flavor. That was the pictures look great, but it was like, all right, so take that and put it in your pipe and smoke it, Charlotte. But then got back home, and let me tell you, the best thing I had out of all those cities, without a doubt, was burnt ends in St. Louis at this place called Pappy's. So
That's it though. But I mean, burn ends. If you get
Oh.
burn ends at the right place, that's where it's at in the first
St.
place,
Louis,
right? I mean,
they say St. Louis has some of the best barbecue. I've been fighting it.
they do. And yeah,
They do. And Pappy's is one of the most famous places right outside of downtown, and their burnt ends. I promise you, I'm thinking about them right now. So,
right.
All right,
Burn ends are fantastic, man. I mean, that's one of the biggest parts of barbecue in the first place. Yeah, man.
I could have we got burn ends, brisket, and some other stuff for the whole table, and we were just all.
I was just gonna say, because even if I get brisket, which I usually do, I still get burnt ends with it.
Man, we were by mid plate, we were all plotting on the burnt. Everybody was like, I don't know who's gonna eat that brisket over there, but this burnt ends is coming with me. You know, like
Yeah, you gotta get it.
So anyway, if you ever stop through St. Louis or you're passing through St. Louis,
What did you get in OKC?
So I actually ate at so first of all, can I give a major shout out to the OKC sports experience? Can I seriously, Jig?
By all means.
It was the most college atmosphere.
Don't know anything about it.
It was like the most college atmosphere I've ever been in. Okay. And I've heard about it, you know, and you've heard about it on broadcast. People are like, oh, this place is rocking and all this kind of stuff. They're not lying. So I started off with seats up in the top, the box, because my client gave me seats with drinks and food and all this stuff. And I was like, I appreciate it, but I kind of don't want to sit up here.
Right.
So I got there about 2 hours before game time. I went down towards the floor and I showed, the lady stopped me. She's like, oh, you got to show me your ticket. I was like, I'm in the best seats up there. Like my seats are like really good seats. I was like, I'm looking for somebody to go. She's like, all right, you can go ahead. But if you don't find somebody an hour to the game, I'm gonna kick you out. I was like, all right. I got lucky. And so I found a dad and his son who were like, of course, yeah, we want to go up there and I'll drink all your drinks. I was like, all right. So I ended up right underneath the basket in the section where all the people who mess with the visitors during free throws. That's where I was at. And so I got pictures. There's this dude who's like 50 or 60. His belly was out to here. And he took off the sweater and he only had these suspenders on and like this Thor hat. And everybody in the section was a fan of him. So whenever a visitor came to shoot free throws.
So he's a known entity.
Yeah. He's sitting in my row and he leaves my row and he goes to right underneath the basket and was like rubbing his belly like Maurice Hurst and everything.
I love it.
He does it every single time a visitor shoots a free throw.
I love it.
Other guy that was sitting in my section, he's like Brick Man, and he's on all the TV broadcasts because he wears a hat that like literally says Brick or something.
Yeah, yeah, I got it. Yep.
So that's the section I was in the section with the Wahoos, but the entire stadium had Wahoos. It felt like I was at Rchfield Coliseum again. I'm
that's
not
fun.
even joking.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
It was pageantry.
So they're digging their team out there.
That you felt like OKC as a city lived and died with that team playing.
I love that.
So
I love that.
Shout out to Kevin Love fan. If you get to go to games out there, sister, you got a good game experience. I probably wouldn't miss games. I would be like, I'm gonna watch everybody whenever they come because that experience is really cool. So
yeah, that's awesome.
What did I eat? So while I was in OKC at the game, because I was like, anytime I go to visiting stadiums, I want to try the stuff. So I got 3 different things. But the thing that stood out the most was there was this monstrosity that came in a box that was like $30. And it was 3-foot-long hot dogs that were like totally customized, right? I'm not going to eat all these, but I was just like, when you're in Rome, you got to try it, right?
Yeah.
It was like, one was like a Philly cheesesteak dog. Another was like
never heard of this.
Dude, it was crazy. I'll find it and I'll send it to you because the stadium is known for it. And I asked the guys in my section, I asked Belly Guy, what do I eat while I'm here? And he was like, you got to get, the triple dog or whatever it was. And I was like, all right, that's
triple dog. Sounds like he knows.
Oh,
that's
no,
who you asked.
He knew. So he was like, you got to get the triple dog and you got to walk down to that concourse and you got to get some type of beer drink. So anyway, I did the triple dog, I did the beer drink, and then there was some pizza that was close by me because I only ate like a bite of each of the dogs, and I was like, I don't want dogs tonight. And so
I want you to hit me with your opinion on Primanti Brothers as well.
So that was my first time. I had heard so much about it. I got to preface this by saying I am a Slimans diehard. Like, if it ain't Slimans, it ain't Slimans. I couldn't get jiggy with the fries on the sandwich first and foremost. So, and then the second,
I rip them right off of there. I just take them right off of there.
Second thing was I ordered 2 different sandwiches. I got the Reuben, of course.
Same.
And then I got the New Yorker, which had like capricola, like all these different types of cuts.
An Italian sub.
Yeah, it was like Italian sub, but it had all kinds of. It was like both sandwiches. I was like, "Can you bring me extra sauce that was on here?" Even after I took off the fries, and it was still dry. So first and foremost, you can eat Slimans. Slimans looks like a choke, right? Like it's like this stacked with corned beef. But you don't need any sauce. Like it feels like the corned beef melts while you eat it. Is it Primanti? Primanti can't touch Slimans. It's like, I mean, Primanti is like the Steelers to the Browns this past Sunday. Like it's not even close. Was it terrible? No. Was it the worst thing I had? No. Charlotte takes the cake there. But it was not like, if I'm in that area, I drive 2 hours to go get Slimans as opposed to just eating Primanti in Pittsburgh.
I just think it's very average food, and I think the fries on there are like a novelty.
Yep.
And it's just not something that I eat. Whenever I'm like in the Pittsburgh area, there's a place called Burgatory that has incredible burgers.
Burgatory?
It's like I think they have a couple of them. They have one in Monroeville. Like on the way out to Pittsburgh, one of the best burger places I've ever eaten at. Like they have, you can do like custom burgers, but they're very creative with the ones that they have on the menu. Incredible milkshakes, and like that's my spot. That's a spot my spot. It's a lot of people's spot. I mean, it's not like I'm going in there and they're like, "Oh, hey, what's going on?"
I wish I got this review from you before I went there because I definitely would have tried burger.
No, I mean that's where I'm going. But I don't get it. Fries on a burger are a distraction to me.
Yeah, it was
or fries on a sandwich are a distraction to me. I don't get it. It's no good.
It was like having double bread because the texture
it's not good, and the fries aren't even that good. I'm glad you didn't dig it. I'm happy to hear when other people don't, because people get like all defensive of it out here, and I'm just like, just give me a really good Reuben. Stack the meat up.
Tell them to go to Cleveland and try Slimans, and they'll change their minds.
I've still never been to Slimans. You and I were texting about this. I've never been there, man.
Cleveland card. Let me get that.
Dude, you know I've been everywhere in Cleveland. my family's all over Cleveland. But you know, the reality is I never hit that place. Corky and Lenny's was,
and I don't.
Corky and Lenny's was where we always go, and then we were
Jig. I'm not trying to put pressure on you.
I know, but we just never went there. I don't know how
our season hinges on you trying Sliman before the season.
All right. So listen, I'm gonna go out there. We're gonna hit a game, and it's either gonna be mid-December game or early January, and I will make sure to hit Slimans instead of like, I can't remember that place that Damage goes to. It was really good out near Rocky River. Whenever I go see him, we'll skip that. We'll hit Slimans, and I will be able to report back.
You go to Slimans, we're going to the second round at least.
I'll do Slimans, and I'll make sure that we move on. All right. Are we ready to have some Cavs dominated to this discussion now?
I think so. I think we have official. Oh, wait. One of us has got to give a record recommendation, and then we transition into
record recommendation. Oh God, who was that? Yeah, you start. I know there was something I was just thinking about the other day that I wanted to talk about, and it slipped my mind. You start record.
Oh shit. Okay.
Did you forget to?
I was counting on. I don't know why. Like I keep.
Let's drop these at the end.
You down? I'm down with
I'm
that.
down. We're gonna drop these at the end. We're gonna drop
No.
our record recommendations at the end of this.
No, I got one.
Go ahead. Go
All
ahead.
right. So this one is in my top 5. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what's going on in my life. This one gets play every single week. And I want to give a shout out. When I ran my record store for a couple years there in undergrad and stuff, that my store manager actually was like, you got to listen to this. I had never heard of this guy, never heard of the album. I was like, what is this? What are you talking about? His name is Gino Zielinski. Shout out to Gino. He puts on this record by a guy from California who was living in a van who played multi-instruments in the 70s. And everybody started sampling. It became a cult classic by the name of Shuggie Otis.
Oh my God, you just stole my album.
The album is titled Inspiration Information. And I'm doing this off top of my dome because I don't,
Let's hear it. Let's go. Let's go.
So this album, this guy for a couple of years out there, he's writing music, but he's kind of like Andre 3000 is. He's like, if I don't feel like it, I ain't doing it. He had a couple gigs that he would like not show up for. Like he was just like one of those enigmatic kind of guys, all about the creativity, could care less about your money because I live in a van. But this dude grew up around music. He's a multi-instrumentalist. He's inspired by Santana and like, I can see Sly and Family Stone and those kind of guys. But he ends up making a type of music that like has some island kind of vibe to it. That's kind of like everybody's like, what is this? And they started calling it Luca Bop. So he wrote a song and then he sold it to the Brothers Johnson. It's called Strawberry Letter 23. If you've ever heard this song before, it's the most famous Shuggie Otis song, Strawberry Letter 23.
I am wholly unfamiliar with everything you're talking about right now.
I'm about to blow your mind. Are you familiar with the Brothers Johnson at all?
No.
Okay, they're a funk band from the 70s, two brothers.
I'm looking it up a little bit. I'm going to make sure I'm not getting too distracted here, but I'm just seeing if I know anything you're talking about here. I'm liking this.
Their hit song is Strawberry Letter 23. It was written and composed by Shuggie Otis. So then he's like, you know what? I just gave that song away, but I still got, all these songs in me. I'm going to go ahead and release an album. And I think around 73 or 74, he releases this album and to no fanfare. Like nobody's like checking for this shit. But the diehards are, okay? And by the time I got my hands on it in 2002, 2003, this thing was like one of those movies like The Warriors or something like that, where it's like everybody's sampling it. Everybody thinks it's the greatest thing ever created 30 years later, okay? My favorite song on this album is called Out of My Head. I think it's track number 4 or 5. And it feels like a drug. Like from the moment it starts playing, you're like, whoa. It feels like that Beach Boys, what's the 10-minute song? The Good Vibration. It feels like Good Vibrations condensed into this little 4 or 5 minute song. But the entire album, Out of My Head, Strawberry 23, there's so many of them. I don't want to just pick a couple. I'm literally going to say in this case, let the entire thing play. Shuggie Otis. Inspiration.
I'm lining these up on my phone right now. Literally right now.
Great, man. So it's definitely out of all the albums in my top 5, like, Stevie Wonder, Songs in the Key of Life, D'Angelo, Voodoo, Common B, Nas, Illmatic. The only one who is like, wait, who is that? And where did it come from? Is Shuggie Otis, Inspiration Information. So those 5 I just named, this one is the one that everybody always says, what the hell is that? And I'm always so happy to say, go check it out. So how do we transition to the Cavs from Inspiration Information? There's something that we're gathering over the last couple games that's giving my GM brain some inspiration information, Jig. It's like, what did we just see? So we saw the first game against Brooklyn. We saw some free-flowing, fast-paced, ball-moving offense, and then it went away for about 8 games, right? And it was just confusing. It was like, man, we look like we did in the playoffs again. Easy to guard, predictable, taking turns, ball not moving, Mobley looking confused. What's happening?
Okay.
Suddenly, over the last 2 games, we see some inspiration information. And it's like, wait a minute. These guys just snapped into it again? Like, what happened? And we I hopped on the board after the Portland game, and I was like, bros, I think I see something, and I don't want to, ruffle any feathers or anything. But if it happens again in Denver, I'm gonna be insufferable. And that something was, you take Donovan out of the equation, and that ball gets moving. These bodies get moving. These dudes look like they have purpose. We got a game tonight, Jig, against Philly, where if I see it again, I promise I'm probably going to have to put myself on mute on RCF for a couple weeks because I'm literally going to be insufferable. So
Okay.
that's my inspiration information. I picked up on something, and Damage and a couple of guys on the board are like, dude, where you been at? We've been seeing it. Why has nobody been telling me? Like, what? Because I was selling myself all last season. I was like, wait, no, this guy isn't just like Colin Sexton. Like, he looks like an MVP. Like, what are you talking about? And then the playoffs came, and it looked like Sexland again. And I was like, what the hell? What just happened? And so all of a sudden, I can't remember his Narbar. I said Narbar. What is the dude's name?
Well, there is a poster named Narbar.
Yeah, that's my boy. Is it Narbar 32, I think?
I think so.
He's like, oh man, he's like, you say this and now everybody's coming out the woodwork. I'm like, no, like I have been hearing it a little bit by some of the voices in my inbox and stuff like that. Chris Rich, we've been going back and forth, and Chris Rich since day one has been like, no, this ain't it. Boobs, whenever we had discussions, he was like, yeah, I know, I'm trying to shut up and let guys enjoy it and stuff, but I'm not feeling it. Was that a good Boobs voice just now? I think it was. I had just enough raspy to cover Boob's voice just now.
I don't remember what his voice sounds like.
His voice always sounds like he swallowed a frog. I think I just.
Now I vaguely remember it.
Okay, but yeah. So that's where I'm at right now, and I don't want to ruin everybody's watching experience. I just had an engagement with Cardiac. Cardiac is one of the longest tenured guys who never really he doesn't pipe up and say much. Every once in a while, he'll be like, hey, guys, I'm still alive. And he even was like, Rich, this dude was a MVP candidate for all last season. Give us some time. So I'm like, I'm going to try Cardiac. And that's where we are today. Cardiac just got you guys a new lease on me flipping out until the Philly game. And I'm going to go flip out again. That's where we are.
You're gonna flip out for the Philly game. Is your
expectation? No. So if this ball moves, if we look good, if DG looks like All-Star DG again, if Mobley looks like Ascension Unicorn again against Philly, then I'm like, all right, what can we get for Spider? That's what it's gonna be. I already felt like that during the Denver game, but I'm trying to be patient and say, what if we change the coach instead? But that's where we are. And I stayed up until like 2 a.m. debating this with Sebastian through text last night. So I'm trying not to carry this over into the thing and just let's have a good time. It's only been 10 games. We're better. We're at the 500 mark where we all thought we were going to be under it for November. Shut up, Rich, and just enjoy the beginning of the season. But I can't. And if they show tonight, like I think they can, I really won't be able to. That's where we are.
So I'm going to throw an interesting statistic at you, and then I'm going to give you a couple arguments that I would like for you to respond to.
Let's do it.
See what you think. First of all, the Cavs record right now is almost dead on with what it was last year at this time.
Okay.
I don't know what, if anything, that means to you. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on that as relates to our current coaching situation and our set of players?
So, first and foremost, the overall record. It means diddly squat to me, to be honest. It's something that helps me sleep. What I cared about more after what happened with the playoffs, I was like, I don't even care about the season. I don't even care about 40% of the season. So for me, what I needed to see was a diversified offense, a better pace, open shots that look in the flow of guys attacking and not just we're going to bail out with this last second thing. And I was willing to go 1-10 to start the season. I was willing to go 5-15 to start the season in the first 20 games. If I could see that, let me get a full install of a diverse, fast-paced offense, and I'll be happy to catch up in the second half of the season. That's how I approach the year. So to answer your question succinctly, it doesn't mean much, but it's encouraging because it's like these dudes can actually get some wins. But what about you?
I would agree regarding a record. We've watched this play out with both the Cavs and many other teams in the league that a record this early means just about nothing.
Yep.
My next question for you. I'm going to make a point and then I'm going to ask you a question.
Right. And please back me into a corner. I don't mind this interrogation.
Lot of if there's anything that could be going on this year, it could be that this team could have a lot of puzzle pieces being shuffled around and being replaced.
Oh.
Well, hang on.
All right.
But maybe even let's call them dominoes rather than puzzle pieces.
Okay.
But it's like one needs to be removed and replaced before the other one can fall. And the question is whether does JBB need to be removed before the DG one can fall and knock the Donovan one into the Mobley one, and then this Cavs train starts to really roll? Or does JBB even need to go in the first place? But it almost feels like to me that this team is a little confused on, and my metaphor is not perfect here, obviously, but
I follow.
It seems to me that there are some pieces here that are a little chipped. Got some chipped pieces. We got some pieces that are not. I don't think we're missing any. I actually don't think necessarily that we're missing too many pieces. It just seems like some of these pieces aren't in the right spots.
Okay, I agree.
Before I go on much farther,
okay,
I want to know, and actually one more comment. Weirdly, there seems to be a breaking point where I think many might have said that there was a stretch of games here that JBB's future hinged upon.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, he wins those, then he wins a couple more. And it almost looks like there might even be a streak coming that we're going to be rolling into.
Okay.
So is that coming? I mean, is that going to happen? I mean, if they keep winning games, is this guy sticking around?
So, I'm going to address this. I'm going to address this most recent question, but I'm going to address the domino chipped Tetris smorgasbord thing too.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I'll get to the next point. You know where I'm going.
Right. So I'm a man of conviction, and
good.
I'm like Michael Corleone on Godfather 2. All right. When it was time for Fredo to go, it was more a matter of timing, right? Like I got to get Connie out of here and got to get him out there on the boat. And one of the most ruthless decisions ever in cinema to whack your own brother, right?
Of course.
Totally opposite from the end of Godfather 1 when he whacked, all five, Mo Green and all those dudes. Your brother, like that's crazy. But anyway, In my mind, I've already moved past it. It's just a matter of when.
I have as well.
Okay.
The
So
little wins here mean nothing to me.
nothing. So it's just a matter of, okay, do we have the ducks lined up for the replacement? Is it all the way in place?
I wonder the
Are
same.
we all the way on the same page with this replacement guy? Is there a need? Like, are we gathering intel right now for that replacement guy to hit the ground running with rotations and placement? That's where I tie this question in with the previous question, because the one place where I draw a parallel from last season to this one is John Blair does take some time to try weird stuff in the first 20 to 30 games, right?
Sure.
That's what I liken to the whole Karras thing. That's what I liken to, all of that from last season, where it was like, we know not to do this. Why are we even trying it? So he's doing some of that now again, where I'm like, okay, like, it's so painfully obvious. Why are we not doing this? But it's frustrating because when it comes to young guys, you can make or break their confidence if you don't do it right. Like I'm watching capable coaches like Dagnall and OKC. He pulls a guy, and this dude was a lottery pick, Cason Wallace, off of the out of the draft. He puts him in his 7th spot. He's the second guard off the bench after Isaiah Joe. He does not lose that spot no matter what. He started last night or the night before. Like, this kid is like, I'm like, wait, what? He's a rookie? Then you go up to Detroit, who's playing like crap, but they've got 2 rookies in Marcus Sasser and Asar Thompson. Both of these guys from day one have been part of the top rotation. They know what their spots are. It's the same thing here. When you very early, we saw that we're going to need this point guard depth, right? And so in an ideal world, if Rubio was here and healthy, and then Ty Jerome was a 3rd point guard, we probably would have taken the whole first half of the season and never saw Craig Porter Jr. But when Rubio left the reservation, and when DG went down, and when Ty Jerome sprained his whatever he's got that kept him out for like a whole month, it was time to see this kid so that we could preserve roles and not compromise what we set out for guys to do. And it was just so frustrating not seeing him until just recently, where he's like, all right, I'll go get you 20 and 10. Like, what? How is that the last, how is that like almost like a last resort thing? And in this last game's rotation, we just saw Tristan playing next to Mobley when Jared Allen went out. And I was like, thank you. Like, finally, it took 10 games to see that. So the coaching change has already, in my mind, it's just a matter of when. And I'm hoping that we've got a wink, wink already replacement. And he's like, all right, well, let's try some of these things right now, because some of these injuries that are happening, Jig, are so, come on, man. Like, one day Darius can't move his neck. The next day he's putting up 20 and 10. And, I did see the hamstring for Donovan. I watched it in real time because he was playing his 40th minute against the Blazers. And I was like, why is he even out there? And why did he just now hold his hamstring in the game? So that's legit. I don't know what this Levert thing is, but I feel like we're gathering intel right now for the next coach, for his rotations, for him to hit the ground running with his rotations already set. And I'm okay with that. So that's the way I answer both of those in one fell swoop.
Okay.
And again, I mean, you don't have to agree with that. And some guys are like, oh, no, you're tripping. Like, JBB has really still got a firm handle on this. I think it's been proven that I don't think he does.
I don't disagree with this.
So
I don't disagree with this. I am of the opinion that the JBB train has left the station.
Yeah.
I don't think he's the guy. And I've felt that way. I got excited about him in stretches. We both did on this podcast. Multiple times last year.
Dude,
it was really the
wonderful statesman. Like,
he is.
Dude,
he is.
Like you want him mentoring young guys and
I'd love him as an assistant coach.
Giving the I have a dream speech on the Washington Mall. But tactitionally, I don't even know if that's a word, but I'm gonna make it up. Tactitionally.
Tactically.
Yeah, tactically. Thank you. Thank you so much. I was butchered, like that word was kicking my ass and it didn't even have to.
Hey, that's what I
It's
got.
getting ready to say that my internet connection is about to break. Oh, there. Oh, it's back. Try to get out. Right.
Here is so we're there. We're there on that point.
We're on the same page.
And I think we probably have round agreement on that one.
Okay.
That's one of the dominoes, right?
I don't know when you got to throw me a curve. I feel like Colonel Jessup waiting for you to flip something that I'm apprehensive, but go ahead.
This could be the Greg Maddux thing.
All right.
With you being Tony Gwynn.
Okay.
Where it's that matchup where you know the pitch that's coming, and like you're the one guy that can hit it, right?
Okay. All right.
No, I don't have the ego to think that I can pitch like Greg Maddux. Here's the deal. You love Darius Garland. Always have.
Guilty as charged.
Not saying you need to feel guilty about that.
All right. Since I watched this kid freshman, sophomore, junior year here in Nashville, I was like, he's going to win an NBA championship. I will say that.
What if
I
was to make an argument? What if I was to imagine a scenario that Donovan Mitchell was to say, Cleveland, I'm here. I'm signing. And we get a coach where so let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
Cavs replace JBB. We get the right coach.
Okay.
That coach is using Donovan appropriately.
Okay.
They're on the same page.
Right.
Donovan says, I'm here in Cleveland. I'm going to re-sign. Is it possible that you would trade Darius Garland
for what?
Instead of Donovan Mitchell?
That's maybe this is your curveball right here, because I think if this conversation was just happening and I'd be like, I'm not going to admit that, I don't think I would. I don't think so. And it's so first, let me answer the first part. If Donovan's like, yo, let's go, Cleveland, this is for you, and the replacement coach, the upgrade is like, I know how to make this work. This won't be a Stotts with Portland situation, or what Jason Kidd is doing right now with Doncic and Kyrie. Like, they're just taking turns. I can make this work. I'm going to have the ball primarily in DG's hands or secondarily in Mobley's hands. And I'm going to have Donovan cleaning everything up. Like, every time we need a bucket under 10, that guy is going to unleash hell. Give it to me. Let's go. Let's go with it. We don't need to trade one of the guards. I want to see that work, because I think he has just enough Dwayne Wade in his game.
Garland, that is.
No, Donovan.
Donovan.
I think he has just enough Dwayne Wade in his game where
he does have a lot of Dwayne Wade in his game.
In the playoffs, you need that guy when defenses are tilted towards him, who's like, I don't care if I see 3 guys in the box, I'm going to get a bucket. I'm either going to step back and make you look stupid, or I'm going to get in there with this frame, and guys are going to bounce off me before I get that. The whole follow up from the free throw line over Pat Will and the other guys from Chicago. That guy, keep him. But if you're asking
me that you think that these two guys could work on the floor together for an extended period of time,
I do.
I do. It's just not happen. It's just not happening.
No, so I think that offensively, you have to have a coach. Right, I'm like today they can work on the floor, and we can be the number 1 team we can be the number 2 team in the East behind Boston. Boston is so immaculately built in the way that they fit. And I was watching them last night almost lose to Charlotte, and I still was like, this team is going to the finals. A coach who has, like, I wish Rick Adelman was still here. There's certain guys who
innovator.
innovators offensively, but knows how to play to every guy's strength. Because this is what that coach would say. That coach would say, my primary guy with 24 on the clock, when the ball's inbounded, I want this guy controlling my tempo, my pace, and moving the ball around. That would be Darius Garland. My secondary guy, the guy who's starting the action most of the time from the high post, is Evan Mobley. His passing, I'm going to use these guards off of him. That passing and everything that he has as a triple threat and that LaMarcus Aldridge jumper, we're going to make this work. My third guy is going to be the guy who closes out, and that's going to be Donovan Mitchell. That coach can say that and convince Donovan to play that way, because I think that there's a part of Donovan. He's a super smart dude. I think there's a part of him that's like,
yes, he's a super smart guy.
I think there's
he's
a part of him that's like,
intelligent guy.
I got to get paid as much as I can. I got to be first or second NBA team for this next contract in order to be in line to get that, that real solid deal. And I think that might be impacting the way he's approaching the offensive end. Okay. But I would need my coach to be like, you don't need to do that in order to truly reach the levels that you want to reach. If all those things happen and that
Is there a coach out there that can do that?
I think so. Literally, we've seen it through history. There's been guys like Spo with the way that he convinced Wade to take a back seat to Bron.
He did.
From day one, he didn't have to, from day one, they butted heads to a tune of less than 500 as a result of them taking turns doing what they were both doing from the top of the key. And, Bron was getting ready to try to throw Spo under the bus, and Riley was like, shut up, get in line, we'll figure it out. And
that team had the power of Pat Riley behind Spo at the beginning, though.
Yeah, I agree. And so what you're saying is
Spo has evolved into is he one of the best coaches of all time? He's certainly one of the best coaches over the last 2 decades.
I say him and Pop are up there right now, 1 and 2.
Absolutely.
Top 2 coaches.
Absolutely. Kerr, those three.
Yeah.
Those three. If you want to go 1-2, I ain't gonna argue with you.
Yeah, I say Pop and Spo are 1-2.
Sure.
And
sure.
Kerr, there's a bunch of guys after Kerr because as he's lost some of these assistants, like his defense does not look the same without Potato.
I'm with you. I'm good with that.
All right.
I'm good with that.
So anyway, and he's got some guys and he's had some major misses. Like right now they're getting ready to give away Moses Moody for pennies on the dollar, and they just gave away Wiseman for the same thing. So Kerr's not like infallible, but anyway, there is a coach.
Why does this
out
team
there.
look smoother with? Okay, now let's not even go there necessarily, but okay, let me try this one.
All right,
is Garland a little pouty
sometimes? After this,
is Garland a little? Absolutely, you are. Is Garland? This is your guy. You got to stand up for him.
Okay.
Is Garland a little pouty sometimes? What's that about?
Yes.
What's that about?
So. And I said this through text conversation with quite a few guys after the OKC game. Because during the OKC game, we came out to do our early shoot-around stuff, and Garland's out there. CPJ is out there with him, going through shooting drills with JJ Outlaw. Dean Wade is out there. There's a bunch of guys that's out there. And then about an hour to go until game time, those guys went to the locker room, and the only one that was out there left, well, there were 2. Donovan came out with his beats on, and he had his beats on, and he put up 50 shots from every spot around the outside of the key, along with JJ Outlaw. And Tristan was out there doing weird Tristan hook shots and stuff that I was like, please don't do those in the game. But what I saw from Garland during the morning shoot around with CPJ next to him, he was literally going through everything he did with CPJ. He's like, he would do it, then he watched CPJ do it. He'd do it, then he watched CPJ. He's like mentoring this kid. Like, I'll raise you.
Great.
They're like the same age. But then also they were, interacting with Dean Wade and stuff. So it was like, I was like, this kid isn't, because he had been looking kind of pissy for like a couple weeks, where it's like, we're getting the really pissy kind of Garland.
Yeah.
Then the game starts, Jig, and OKC is dismantling our defense. Like they were They were having a field day. Like, it was so
Yep.
frustrating to watch. And then on the other end, they were dismantling our offense because they knew exactly what we were running. There were back-to-back plays where
Knicks. It was the Knicks all over again.
it was the Knicks all over again. That's when Garland started like throwing fits. Like he was driving too deep, and then Jalen Williams and all those dudes, they were getting long, so he couldn't just do his drive and dish. He couldn't do his lob either because they were they were dropping back off of his drive, so he couldn't lob. But then they had help that was like coming from the side and like keeping him from being able to do that floater a whole lot. And he's at that time he was at the basket where fat guy with the belly kept running up and stuff. And I was like Garland, I was like, kid, he had 4 turnovers in the first quarter. I was like, stop driving all the way in there. Pull up, stop, pull up, make them respect the mid-ranger, and then go ahead and do what you're doing. But he kept driving. And I'm watching, and I'm like, why does he keep driving all the way in there? Donovan Mitchell is standing right there at the key with his guy, and his guy was the one who kept collapsing, so Garland had to go all the way through. If he had stopped at that mid-range or free throw line kind of area, Donovan's guy was right there next to him, and I was like, man, you got to take your dude. You can't keep him up there, like, because when he's trying to attack from there, he has to go all the way in to get away from your help. Towards the end of the first half, he gets pissed and he got called for I think a 3rd foul or something like that. He had 5 turnovers by this point in time. And before JBB could even call for his sub to go check in, he goes and he sits down.
Ooh.
I was like, man, this.
Oh boy.
I was like, oh man, I hate seeing pissy DG.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, all right. So then word comes out he's not gonna make the next game. And I'm like, wait, is something wrong with DG and JBB? Like, the way he was acting all pissy and stuff. The next time I see him, he looks like old DG again. But he only looks like old DG because Donovan's not out there standing around that perimeter with his guy helping off. So is he being pissy? Yes. Does he have a propensity to be pissy? He does. But he sees the game, he sees the floor, and he's asking for balance, and he can't get it, And it's not just because the 2 bigs can't shoot. He can't get balance because Donovan is playing similar to how Colin played, and his guy keeps helping off, and it's frustrating to watch. It ultimately results in a bunch of Garland turnovers, and I'm not faulting everybody else for his turnovers because there's other things he can do other than continuing to drive in there. But man, I'm like, dude, there has to be some type of communication or something where the coaches are like, we need to balance this floor better.
Okay.
And we're seeing it with floor spacers as opposed to guys who want to dribble the pill in LeVert and Donovan now. And we don't see all those turnovers for the last couple games all of a sudden, right?
I agree.
I don't think Garland forgot how to play basketball. I don't think he forgot, they're like, oh, it's his hammy. He's still no. I'm watching him in the pregame shoot around stuff at OKC. He looked like All-Star Garland while he was mentoring the kid and stuff. It's the floor spacing with the other guard coming there and standing with his hand like this and his guy helping off that's shrinking the floor and causing more turnovers.
How do you fix it? How do we fix it?
Well, we're seeing it right now. Like these last 2 games, Strus sees the floor like Garland sees the floor. And Strus is like, I'll take my guy and we'll go park. We'll go out to Beechwood. You do what you got to do. I'll either take him to Beechwood or I'll take him over there to Lakewood. But we're not going to be downtown while you're trying to get downtown and feed these bigs. And what's happening? The floor is opening up all over again. And you see the Lob City Garland back, all of a sudden, because he has the threat of I can pull up from here because nobody's helping from behind me, as well as I can go all the way to the rim. And oops, there's Allen. Oops, there's Mobley. That's all happening again because Strus is taking that second guard far away. He's clearing out and he's like, you got to come with me. Because if you don't, I'm going to do what I did in that Blazers game and hit 6 threes. Leave me alone if you want to. But this floor is going to be balanced because I'm taking you way over there.
Max Strus is one of the most exciting pickups that the Cavs have made since. I mean, honestly, he is such a pleasant surprise. Just his all-around game has been so impressive.
Man.
I mean, he is a complete game changer out there. We're not just talking about standing around and shooting threes. It's
No.
not like we're looking at like an upgraded Dean Wade here. I mean, you got a guy who's making smart plays that are making this team better. He's getting up there. He's making those dunks that are getting everybody geared up. But
Dude,
he's making plays all over the floor.
that kid, that Asar Thompson, he's averaging 2 blocks a game right now. He's a 6'7", 6'8" guard who plays just like Tari Eason for Detroit. Max Strus baptized him. I'm talking
Yes,
about.
he did. Yes, he did. He didn't even. Yeah, I mean,
He had
this
that
dude. This dude. He's good on the break too.
His whole overall game. If you just watch him, even if he doesn't have the ball in his hands, that's how you want your second guard to play.
Yep.
Like, I would say to Donovan, the new they just hired Rich. I come in and I say to Donovan, I'm like, hey, here's these 2 game tapes from Portland and Denver. Do what Strus has been doing. Keep that ass
Donovan,
moving.
you'd say this.
Yes, I say that to Donovan because Strus has been playing it to a T, and it's been so effective. And then when Strus has been catching it from the weak side, he's also been running 2-man game with the bigs. So it's like we don't have to reset if it's your turn, my turn. You can do the same thing I'm doing when the ball finds you. You can either have that threat from long distance, or you can use one of these twin towers to get to the rim and then decide what to do with the defender once we're there. Like, that's what Strus has been doing it perfectly for the last couple games.
And what would you say to a Mr. Craig Porter?
That's my guy. Hey,
look at this kid. Look at this kid.
I swear by this kid. I would actually say to Mr. Craig Porter,
look at this kid.
Keep doing what you're doing. You literally are penciled in for 15 a night at the very least.
Absolutely got to get 15 a night.
All I want to see, and the guys on the board have been saying this, let that thing go. If you're outside and it finds you, be confident letting it go, because all that's going to start happening, like right now, Nick Nurse is looking at tape from the last 2 games, and he's telling his guards, he's telling Melton, Maxey, those guys up in Philly, close out hard on this kid. Like literally, he will not shoot it. I'm sorry, don't close out hard. Give him the jumper, go underneath. When he comes in,
they don't want him getting to the basket. They don't want him getting to the basket.
Don't let him do any of that off-tempo stuff to get by you. Make him shoot outside jumpers. And so the only thing I would say to him is you got to start letting that thing go. When it finds you, I don't care if you're the point guard. I don't care if you're playing with Garland. You got to let it fly. As soon as it finds you, watch Strus, let it fly, because that's the only thing he needs to do to continue getting minutes. And everything else, defensively and ball control, tempo, running point, this kid has been found money, man. Like really, really found money.
So this guy is another guy who plays winning basketball, right?
Yep.
He is a playoff basketball player, is who he is. Strus is a playoff basketball player.
Agreed.
Porter is a playoff basketball player. That's why, I mean, Josh Hart, man, that's why you want to get him, because that another guy's playoff basketball.
Yeah. Sorry.
Right? And we saw it. We got torn up by him.
Yeah.
Right? And and it's just because these dudes find ways to make plays, even if I think Hart improved his 3-pointer as his career's gone on, hasn't he?
He has. He's
because guys are doing that now, though.
In the first 20 games or so, when he got to New York last year, he was hitting them like 50% because Tibbs told him, "This is what we need you to spread the floor when you get out there." He's kind of reverted back down to like 30 something, but
yeah, right. I don't think he's ever been. I could be wrong. I could be wrong about him, but I don't think he ever was a consistent 3-point shooter, was he?
No, I mean he plays it when the ball's moving. He'll shoot them. He was shooting them in Portland earlier in the year.
Was he?
Yeah, like it's not like he can't shoot at all. He's Isaac Okoro. He overthinks, and so he's like, how can I balance this offensive floor?
Yeah, he's never been a great 3-point shooter. Yeah, for a minute. Yeah, every once in a while, for a minute, he'll be.
You got to convince him to let it fly. Same thing with Isaac
But what
Okoro.
he
Same thing with Dean
he's a
Wade.
dude that just makes plays, and that's what we have in Porter here. He's a guy that makes smart plays, man. But he really gets to the basket, man.
I love watching that kid play.
Me too.
I love watching him play on both ends. He never looks hurried on the offensive end, and he plays so much bigger than he actually is. Everybody's like, oh, but he's undrafted. So the way other people define, set his value, we don't have to go by it.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything.
He is 20. Is he 22? 22 or 20? Whatever he is.
I think he's 22.
I think he's either older or just around the same age as Garland and Okoro. I don't believe that we've got to
23. He's actually 23. He must have.
He's older than Okoro. Yeah. The only difference is he stayed in school. He played at Wichita State. Let him play. He's showing you that he's grown enough for the moment. He totally outplayed Marcus Sasser and the other who was it that was playing? It doesn't matter. Last night or the last game in Denver, they've got Strother from Gonzaga and they've got KCP and they've got they're doing a patchwork thing for the guards. Christian Braun from Kansas. He clearly outplayed all of those guys.
Well, and he just kept taking it right at Jokic, man. I mean, just right at him.
Yeah.
Right at him. Every drive. No fear.
Bless you.
There's my coughing fit.
There it is. I love watching his game. I love watching him learn the game too.
He just looks like a pro. He looks like he's been around. And I'm super impressed with him. I'm super pleased with him. It's going to be a matter of experimenting with these guys and seeing who can fit on the floor with who. But I'm very excited about him and Strus, who is already realizing that investment, which is making me very happy. All right, I wanted to get your thoughts on the Garland thing.
All right.
More devil's advocate than anything. I will say that we grew up with point guards being heavy ball handlers. We grew up with guys like Darius Garland being successful.
Right.
But they always had bigs with them, right? They always had a big. They always had a big. And then there was that stretch where it depended on the type of team, but wings, it's just been a long stretch where wings had been dominating the league. So it's and then then it's become just really stretching things out, and guys we're looking at teams that can shoot from all over the place here, and then now it's en vogue for bigs to the unicorns, like we've talked about.
Yeah.
So it's like, can we work from a position where we've got two small guards being successful? Because there was once again a long stretch there where you saw Portland failing, and right. with that lineup and in other teams too, and it makes me nervous if we're going to be able to do it, and that's why you want to see Mobley popping up,
right?
And that's why we gotta see how we're going to maximize this guy's talents.
I'll say this, Jig.
And if Garland can do it,
there's a truism to basketball, and that you can it's similar to football. You can do all the wildcat and all that kind of stuff you want to. There's no substitute.
Copying people.
There's no substitute for a guy dropping back and being able to read a defense and controlling the tempo of the game.
Sure.
With his brain and his arm. There's no substitute for it. You
absolutely
can't, And so
absolutely.
The same thing, the reason that I believe that we beat Boston, we took the season series from them last year, is because they were running a wildcat offense last year. They were like, oh, Tatum, you do it. Oh, Jaylen Brown, you do it. Oh, I said, yeah, that's his name, Jaylen Brown. They were doing this rotating wing initiator. Marcus,
peanut butter jelly type thing. Yeah.
Marcus Smart was like,
I
don't have to be a point guard. I'll just play defense on point guards and I'll let you guys actually run the point. But then when winning time came and quite a few games for their close games last year, Marcus Smart was like, give me the ball. And it was like, wait, this doesn't work. Like, what are you doing? Kind of thing, right? The reason why we won those games is first, Karis LeVert went absolutely bonkers in that first one.
Yeah, that's right.
But it was Karis LeVert and Donovan. But then Darius went bonkers in the next one, right? And
Okay.
every time that we were competing with Boston in games, I was like, we have a floor general and they don't. Like when it comes down to controlling tempo and setting the table for the other four guys, Garland would exert his will just enough in those games, irregardless of what Karis and Donovan were doing. Because Karis and Donovan could match what Tatum and Jaylen Brown were doing, but they could not match Garland's tempo control. And so that's a truism. Basketball, you got your floor general, you got your scoring, your wings, and you're scoring your defending wings, you got your big guys. And all these 5 positions and all that kind of stuff, I'm not worried about that. I'm talking about just these 3. And as long as you got that guy who can really control that tempo and stuff, Utah made it successful because they used Mike Conley to do it and Joe Ingles. And then they effectively made Donovan Mitchell a scoring wing. And even though he was initiating sometimes, he was a scoring wing. It has to work that way. So that's what I need.
we need a coach that can get these guys together. We just do. I just think this is a complex situation that's gonna.
Yeah.
You need a guy that can do team building and tactical in-game stuff, and it's. I don't know who that guy is for sure, but it's.
I'm okay with not knowing and feeling like. But here's where I'm okay. As much as Gilbert gets all that stuff for the letter and all that kind of stuff, I do believe he's grown since then. And I don't have any insider stuff to be like, no, he's not making those type of rash decisions now.
I mean, neither. No.
But if he was making rash decisions, I believe he wouldn't have been on board with let's get shooting in the offseason and let's keep moving forward, JBB.
Right.
I feel like he would have, like the day after that New York series, he probably been like X kind of thing.
I would think you're probably right.
But
I don't know if we're dealing with Comic Sans Gilbert anymore.
I think he was able to be talked down enough that he was like, you know what? You've been saying it all year, Kobe. All right, I'm going to go get you your shooting, but I need to see it. And now he's like,
yeah, I mean, I'm guessing around here more than anything. I'm just trying to put pieces together.
Yeah.
But I wanted to pick on you and Darius a little bit.
Yeah. No, it's all good. It's all good, man.
See what you and Darius.
Yeah, I want to apologize for being a Darius Garland truther.
Nor should you. He's listen, guy's one of the most talented players in the NBA, not just point guards.
Yep.
I just want to see where he fits in the future with this team because I want to see the guy be successful. I'm telling you, dude's got the splashiest 3-pointer I've ever seen in my life. That high.
That thing is back, right? And it doesn't touch anything. Yes. And it's like, wait,
touches nothing. It is. It's a phenomenon.
And he's showing CPJ that before games during shoot-arounds. He's literally like,
and that's what these guys need too. I mean, they really do need somebody to teach them. I mean, so I'm really glad to hear that because, as much as these guys can kind of come into the league and try to do it on their own, like we don't know what's happening behind the scenes. I mean, he needs a guy like that to show him what what I mean, to show him the road. I'm really glad to hear that.
So DG did it working a lot with JJ Outlaw. I watched it every game I've gone to. I went to a couple years ago. I went to New York, Orlando. There was like 5 games during the All-Star year. And so he's doing it with JJ Outlaw. And what I'm watching them do is they'll go for like 30 minutes before the game and JJ's feeding him and he wants him on his toes and lifting with his glutes and stuff into his jumper. He's like, don't let your heels touch the ground. Don't do it all with upper body. Do it, from the time you catch it to release, do it with all this lower body. That's where your jumper's coming from. And so they'll go through it and then they go and sit down and they look at the tablet and he's showing him his form every time. Hey, you went 5 for 5 over here. Then you went, 2 for 10. The difference is you kept putting your heels on the ground. They were doing the same thing together. Him and Darius were doing that with CPJ. So it's only a matter of time before it becomes repetitious and it becomes muscle memory for the kid and he starts letting it go during the games. It was fun to watch. It's been fun to watch. there is that he like convincing him to shoot 10 of those a game. I'm talking about Darius now. It's still something that we're working on. Like shoot 10 of those a game because your jumper is wet. And even if you only hit 4, that's better than, having 4 turnovers because you want to keep getting it to the rim all day long. It's a high. Convincing him that that's the highest value is him letting 10 of those things go is still what needs to happen this season. So go ahead. Sorry.
I have to loop back to your pregame comment before we go to the album.
Yep.
CBBI and I went to the Orlando game where we went to a couple Orlando games, and I may be combining 2 games here, but we went to the Orlando Magic game where Larry Hughes had his final game as a Cavalier, and he went off,
right?
And clearly increased his trade value.
He knew he was getting dealt.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
With the Bulls, I can't remember how many points he scored, but it was a lot.
Right.
And we were going nuts in the nosebleeds up there, and people thought we were nuts because it's like who cares about Larry Hughes scoring 38 points for the Cavs in a blowout?
At the top of Amco Arena at the time,
right? Just to be a couple of idiots. But in the pregame, if you recall, it was around that time that we had David Wesley as a free agent signing.
Oh no.
And it was against it was against the Mavericks, I think early in the year.
The layup.
That Wesley, you remember this? That Wesley got a beautiful bounce pass. I don't remember who it came from. And I'd never seen this before or since. Gets this bounce pass, and he somehow gathered and laid the layup into the foam on the backboard.
I was like,
what were you stuffed doing? Himself on the backboard. And I thought to myself, I wondered if in that very moment, David Wesley realized that his career was over.
I guarantee you he did. And it's always funny. That's funny. That story's funny.
So, but before I finish, so that I was going to say, so it was David. I was watching David Wesley in pregame. Right. I think he took 20 shots. If he didn't realize it if he didn't realize his career was over in the layup foam block shot, then I wonder if it was in the game that we watched pregame, because he took 20 shots, I think, and he did not make a single one of them. It looked like an 8-year-old shooting at the gym, and I was blown away by how badly an NBA player who was a pretty good shooter's shot could just disappear like that.
Dude, I sent you tape. I sent you video of Donovan's pregame shootout.
Yeah.
I sent it to you. I sent it to Sebastian. I think I sent it to
it was weird.
He missed every single one of the shots he took.
Yeah, it was weird.
I was like, what? Like he was JJ wasn't doing the whole make sure you lift off your feet because Donovan already does that. He lifts off his toes.
He missed. Trying something new or something.
If I watched 20 shots, he missed 20 shots. I was like, what? It's so weird.
I wonder if that happens when these guys have like a serious injury and they're like overcompensating, or if they're trying something. Yeah. Maybe they're like trying to add something to their shot or something.
Probably.
It could be.
I want to interject before I forget.
Go ahead.
One of my favorite basketball podcast watches is whatever it's called. I think it's Club 520 or whatever. It's the Jeff Teague podcast.
Oh, Jeff Teague has one. Okay. Like Jeff Teague.
Hilarious, right? Like, because he doesn't have a filter. I think that's a problem. So it's different from Gilbert Arenas not having a filter. Gilbert Arenas doesn't have a filter, but everybody's like, but he's weird. He's gonna say whatever he wants to say.
He is weird. He's a weird guy.
Jeff Teague doesn't have a filter of the stuff that you're not supposed to say when your girl's not around. You're like, like me, you, or you, Damage, Bushwick, they're sitting around and Lauren comes in the room and you're like, dudes, like I wasn't supposed to be there. I wasn't supposed to drink that.
Yeah.
I told her I spent it on something else, and they keep going. That's Jeff Teague. And so every episode he crosses a line but it's not like harmful. It's just like I'm being too honest right now.
Yeah, I got it.
This last episode, it was all about who's better, Vince Carter or Tracy McGrady, and or who had a better career or who had better, I don't know, whatever.
I got it.
Somehow in that whole comparison thing, I think he settled on Vince Carter. By the way,
I would go with Vince Carter.
I think so too. And it's not just.
I mean, Tracy McGrady, in his short period of time, was the better player. He was more dominant. But just because Vince Carter sustained it for longer, I mean, I would say probably Vince Carter.
If you recall, when Vince Carter first came in, he was a marketing machine to himself. And
he was.
McGrady was sitting back watching him. And I'm talking about he had people wanting to go to Toronto to watch games.
He did.
But I agree with that. But anyway, so in that episode, he touches on LeBron James and the second time that we got them up out of here. So those Bud teams, Teague was the point guard, Kyle Korver.
God, the Cavs just dominated too.
Them.
I mean, it wasn't even close. It was all sweeps.
There's a clip where Teague at the end of the playoff game, he's frustrated because he knows they're about to get gentlemen swept. And he runs and he shoulders LeBron into the stands. And
I don't remember that.
And they're like, dude, they're like, Teague, like, Jeff, why did you do that? Like, why did you, like, what if he got hurt? And Teague was like, look, I'm a competitive dude. I don't like losing. He is like, I want to apologize to you, GOAT James. I shouldn't have did that. He's like, I really did lose my cool for a second. I'm grateful that you didn't get hurt. But he was like, I was just tired of him beating our ass. You know, like he was like, I just got to be honest. That's the kind of honesty that we're talking about. He was like, us as a group, we were tired of it. We were tired of not being able to beat that dude. And that's what came out during that. If you get a chance, watch his podcast.
I dig it.
Like,
I dig it.
Every episode, he's a little too honest. He's exposed people like Paul George. He'll tell things that are supposed to stay in the locker room. And it's so
like what? What do you say about Paul George?
Oh man, I knew you were going to. Can I give you a different guy that he
Sure.
So he actually talked about Tracy McGrady. And when Tracy McGrady was hanging on by a thread, I think he played for like San Antonio.
Yeah.
Somebody else said he was a backup for when he was like after post injuries, and it was like a shell of himself.
San Antonio, he was a shell. Yeah.
Okay. So Teague is on the floor with him. And I think Teague had, because the way Bud's system worked, Teague was able to get to the rim. He was able to set guys up. He was having a good night. So he's at the free throw line, and McGrady comes up to him, and it was like, hey, young fella, chill out. Like, you ain't about to embarrass us kind of thing. And Teague said something like, who is you or something like that. And all of a sudden, McGrady put like 10 points on his head. Teague said that McGrady came down the next time down and elbowed him so hard in his chest. He was like, shut the fuck up. Like, basically, like who you talking to kind of thing. He's like, I never forgot that, and I never talked mess to Tracy McGrady again. He was like, in an instant,
I respect that.
He was able to turn it on and put 10 on my head like that quickly. So
I respect that. I like that kind of stuff.
It's a great listen, dude. Like he tells us stuff between the lines that guys are like.
That's fun. I like that.
Yeah.
Because I like JJ Redick's just because he has a lot of like insight into the game and he knows a lot about basketball. He doesn't really have that kind of stuff though.
Yeah, no. But him and Patty. Is it Patty? That's with JJ. No, Patty was with Baker. I can't remember who JJ's.
I can't remember who. I haven't listened to JJ in probably about 6 months. Can't remember who he has on there with him.
But yeah, so add Teague to your list. Trust me.
I will. Yeah, I'll start listening right away. Yeah,
I've tried to get into the Gilbert stuff, because he's always got some, Rashad McCants and Kenyon Martin and some crazy guys that just say whatever they want.
There's your boy Rashad McCants, North Carolina guy.
I don't actually claim him. He left the reservation while he was, because he got Rory suspended because he admitted that he had guys taking his test for him. What his dumb ass.
Oh, did he do that?
Yeah. Like what are you doing? Like what?
That's on you, right? You look at that as more like that's on you. Don't.
He personally insulted us. I don't even know if he's allowed back at Chapel Hill. Like they were pissed with him like that. Like he almost got killed for that. Like you don't do that. Have one of Coach K's guys do it, but don't do that at Chapel Hill. You don't do that. But anyway, So back to the Cavs and to put a bow back on this, to give a mea culpa. I'm excited about this game tonight, Jig.
Okay.
We got Philly. I think it's a tourney game. It's a bracket game. And right now, I think Philly's at the top of our bracket, 2-0 or so. I know.
You like the tourney?
I was at first. I was like, I don't think so. This is about to be stupid. But the way they spread it out, I think they make guys try hard every night, even when the tourney games aren't happening.
Players care about it.
I think so, man. Like I've got to the point. I haven't
got to stop the floor.
I
hope they don't do
played
it
any
next year.
parlays unless it's a tourney night, because I know during tourney night they're going to try to win at all costs. So for me,
they got to stop with the floors.
Yeah, the floors are stupid.
These decorative floors. It's no. They're like horrible to look at.
Yeah, the floors are
stupid. That Pacers floor was a nightmare.
Oh my God, there's the Chicago Bulls or the Heat floor. It was all red, and I was like, oh my God, like I felt like I had a headache watching the game.
I thought Color Rush was bad with the NFL. These are the
floors are stupid. If they would just change the floor and just put an emblem like some type of trophy, like the Cavs floor looks great. All of that to say, Cleveland's floor looks absolutely beautiful.
Yeah,
like I love it.
No, I mean there's a way to do this.
Yeah,
but like when there too many colors, too many shapes, it's like okay, I get it. It doesn't need to look like a
beach
like
volleyball.
Christmas threw up on your floor, you know.
Yep.
Enough.
Oh yeah. Tonight's game, Philly. We're in Philly. I believe so. We know our boy Brew is going to probably try to be there. If he's not there, he's going to be watching the game somewhere. Brew, please be safe. You know, those Philly fanatics.
It isn't Philly.
They're crazy. They'll run you over if you're biking in your neighborhood. You gotta be careful. They ran over one of their own players. But who you got for this night? And we're gonna wrap this. Oh no, I'm sorry. Before we go into,
I'll give you my album.
Gotta get it. What you got?
Well, prediction first. Man, I don't know what to do with this team.
No, I think you got to do your album and then we close with your prediction.
Oh, okay.
You're not slick. I feel like this is about to be great, everybody, because he keeps trying to put it off. Like, you got to bring the album, Jig.
No, I didn't have one when we started out because I knew I had one and I just couldn't remember what it was. My sophomore year of college.
All right.
I remember sitting in my buddy's living room, and this video comes up, and there's a few dudes sitting in a car traveling through a desert. One very tall, weird-looking blonde guy.
Okay.
Traveling through the desert. And it was the wildest, like almost like a stop-motion video. I'd never seen anything like it before. And it's an amazing rock/metal song. And Dave Grohl was drumming on it. Dave Grohl of Foo Fighters and Nirvana fame.
I was about to say Nirvana. Yes. Agreed.
It was Queens of the Stone Age. Not their first album, but it was his first album that he drummed on with them.
Okay.
My album today is Songs for the Deaf with Queens of the Stone Age.
That blonde guy, would that be Nick Oliveri that we're talking
Josh
about?
Josh or Hami.
Eyes mix him and Rick's everything up.
Dude is like 6'7" or something like that.
Yeah, he's
got to be the tallest front man of all time.
Absolutely.
And yeah. Huge guy. So, and that song was called No One Knows.
Okay.
And it was a great song. I love the song right when it came out. And it made me get the album. But as I listened to that album, I came to find that what was so great about it was that they mixed the music up so much that it was just a really fun listen.
Right.
There's a bunch of different sounds to it. So there's a song called Mosquito Song. You heard it before?
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have said very excitedly. between Songs for the Deaf and Rated R, like I'm Queens for the Stone Age to the death. I
Yeah.
know
So
this.
you've heard Mosquito Song before. Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Mosquito Song.
I've played this entire album and Rated R in our record store every other day between those
Wasn't it
two
a
albums.
great album, right?
Both of them,
Hanging
yeah.
Tree. I love Hanging Tree.
Love it. I knew you were gonna say
Yeah.
Mosquito Song. That's probably my favorite song on the whole album. So I thought that was
Isn't
gonna
it
be,
great?
yeah, you're talking now.
What a great, yeah. So Mosquito Songs, but it's like, how different does Mosquito Song sound from No One Knows, right? Like
Right.
No One Knows is like an obvious like pop hit song, whereas Mosquito Song had that like strings on it, like sounds very orchestral.
Right.
So I love that album. I want to just add in real quick.
Great call.
I can't remember the name of the song. Of theirs. There's another song of theirs. It's actually my favorite. I can't come up with it, so I'm not gonna bother. Either way, fantastic
The
album.
favorite song
We'll
off
throw
the next
back.
album is a Feel Good Hit of the Summer, the first track. Because I was
Also
like,
a great song.
there's no way this collection of musicians can repeat
Yeah.
this. And in the very
They did.
first song of Rated R, it was like, no, we got something for you. But great call, man.
Good
Songs
call,
for
right?
Death. So Dave Grohl was the
The whole
drummer
way
on
through.
that, and then Rex Everything took over for that next album, which isn't Rex Everything Nick Oliveri? That was a
Yes, I think
yeah, that was a period of time where I was listening, like, so, because I listen to everything, and
you do.
that album, when Songs for the Deaf was playing and that came out, the Perfect Circle came out with that
Yeah.
that album right around the time. So I would have those two in the CD spiel around the same time, and
Perfect
that
Circle was
first track
good.
on
Yeah.
that Perfect Circle would
Tool. I
come
love
on.
Tool so much.
Oh man, so
Yeah.
yeah, no, great call. That
I'd love to
album.
go see Tool. That's a dream concert.
Good call, man. I actually haven't listened to Queens of the Stone Age maybe
Right?
this whole year. So you just put it back on
Yeah.
my plate.
Hang on. What the hell is that song that I like so much? There's like dripping water. It makes me feel like I'm like laying on the ground drunk.
On the first album, on Songs for the Deaf.
I don't know what the name of the damn song is. I can't come up with it, but it's not off of that album. It's a very long name. It's a very odd song name. I can't come up with it right now, and I don't want to waste too much of our time here. But either way, there's another song that's really one of my favorites.
My favorite song off the next one was Lightning Song. But there was
Lightning Song?
Yeah, I think the hit off the next album was Monsters in the Parasol off that next album. None of those are your drip song, is what you're saying. There was
it's a very odd song. Now you hear like there's like a dripping song.
Yeah.
A dripping sound.
Well,
oh no, I figured it out. Hang on. There's cracks in the ceiling. In the Fade.
Oh yeah. That's actually
my favorite song.
That's been on movies. In the Fade. Yep. Good call.
I love In the Fade. That's my favorite song about that.
Great call. You can't go wrong with some Queens of the Stone Age. There's like, anytime you get like all-star bands, and it's like, guys coming from all over the place, and it's like, let's just get together and kill it. You get stuff like that, like I think I told you during last season.
That's off of Rated R. That was off of Rated R.
Which one? In the Fade?
In the Fade is off of Rated R.
Yeah. I love Songs for the Deaf. I think I love In the Fade a little bit more, but that's all right. It's kind of like Weezer's Blue and Green albums. It's like you got your personal preferences, but both of those are like awesome. Yep. What was I about to say? Oh, I listened last year. I listened to Dave Grohl's book, and it was right before.
My wife was reading that. She liked it. Yeah. What did you think?
It was right before Taylor passed, but I was like, this dude really cannot miss when it comes to making great music. Like, he cannot miss. So anything that he's willing to touch, because he's very, very picky with what he lends his artistry to. Yep. If he puts his name to it, it's going to be good. So
we were going to go to the concert in Pittsburgh. I can't remember what month it was, but Taylor Hawkins died literally right before that concert that we were going to go to. and then we were keeping an eye out for I mean, obviously, which is a horrible tragedy. And then so my wife got his book, and she was reading that thereafter, and she'd been just checking out everything those guys since that time. And then
Man,
they
he's
have a
awesome.
concert coming up in Hershey very shortly here. So we're looking forward to checking out Foo Fighters. I will say this. I have not had hearing problems for a longer time in my life than after a Foo Fighters
Foo Fighters
concert.
album.
Those dudes turn it up, man.
They do.
Whoa.
And I mean, musicianship wise, you like, I didn't even know I wanted to hear this 10-minute jam in between songs, but it like
Whoa.
it's everything. Yep. So yeah, no, his book was awesome. He told it from the perspective of him raising his daughter and encouraging
That's
her.
what she said. Yeah, that's
Yep.
cool.
And so like he literally told like, these are the mistakes I made, and this is how I'm trying to make sure I don't,
I respect that.
have my daughter inherit those mistakes. But here's how I could have, here's how you guys appreciated those mistakes in real time in some of this music from Nirvana.
And she performs at his concerts too. She was
I've heard that.
performing at the one we saw in Pittsburgh.
Yep.
And she's very talented. And I thought that was really cool that she
That's
came up
awesome.
there and she shared her Grohl inherited talents.
Shout out to Miss Lauren, man. We're kindred spirits. There was something else that she was checking out that I'd already read or that I was jumping into, and I was like, man, just as long as you get your footnotes from your wife, you'll be covered.
Do you remember what it was?
It was definitely a book, and you were like, my wife is. It might have been Will. It might have been Will Smith's book.
Yeah.
And then we also talked about some TV shows, and I think she watched The Crown, if I'm not mistaken.
Not The Crown.
Okay. There was
she
show.
reads a lot. She does watch a pretty fair amount of TV, but she reads a lot.
I try, and I'm not even being funny when I say this. I try to read a book a week. Listen or read a book a week.
She's getting there. Yeah, she reads a lot.
Yep. Prediction time, Jig. So we're going up here, and we're about to beat the brakes off these cheesesteaks. What do you got?
Man, so you got him beating the Sixers that bad?
I think, well, not that bad. I think it's going to be a continuation of what we saw with Portland and Denver. I get Denver was on the first night of a back-to-back. I get that Portland's the worst team in the league. I'm sorry.
For once, I need
it wasn't
to stop
Portland.
being a dork. I have to predict a loss for once. For once, I need to predict a loss. I'm just going to predict that the Sixers are gonna. I got to go back to my old bit. Yeah. I'm gonna go Sixers 110.
Yeah.
Cavs 97.
Okay.
I'm gonna hedge my bets.
Can I counter your
yeah. Yeah.
Because usually I'm like, all right, whatever Jig predicts, I'm down with it.
Okay.
I've got the Cavs winning, and I've got the Cavs winning by 10.
Good.
I think they're like the lineup is already set.
I like that.
We're coming out with the same thing that we did the last couple nights.
Score most points tonight.
Scoring the most points?
Yeah.
I think Darius Garland. Even though a guy like Melton is very tough for him because he's that little guard who's fully focused on just playing defense. I believe that they're going to get off. And I think that one of the bigs is actually going to have the night that we've been waiting to see them have against JoJo Embiid.
Okay.
It might be Allen. It might be Mobley. It's probably more likely to be Mobley because they don't have a second big. So,
all right, I got another one for you.
All right.
Which quarter will the Cavs score the most points in? No. Which quarter will the Cavs have the best point differential in?
I think the first quarter.
First quarter.
Yeah, because I think Nurse is a damn good tactician, and he's going to make adjustments to take away what we do early.
Got it.
I think the first quarter. I think the Cavs will be. I think the Cavs will win the first quarter. I think they're going to win the game, and I think that I don't know what Philly's
end game.
Yeah, I don't know what Philly's schedule looks like. I don't know if they play tomorrow or how they're looking. But I
look right now.
I feel like this Cavalanche momentum that we've seen over the last couple games is going to grow.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm excited. I haven't been as excited for a game like tonight's game in quite some time since the playoffs, I think. to be perfectly honest with you, because I feel like we're on to something. I feel like we see something, and I feel like the dudes feel like the clouds have parted on both ends as a result of having better purpose on the offensive end.
I like it.
So let's see what we got, man. We're going up there to Philly. We're going to eat all those cheesesteaks. Jig is saying 110.97. I'm saying, one something. I say it's going to be plus 10.
I like it.
112, 102.
They play the Timberwolves tomorrow.
So, this is the first night of a back-to-back for Philly.
First night of a back-to-back.
That's even better because
they might be overlooking the Cavs.
They're leaving Philly to go to Minnie for the next night.
Might be overlooking us.
Are they traveling to Minnie, or is Minnie coming to Philly?
No, they're going out there.
Yeah, I feel like the Cavs. I feel like the good guys are going to steal one.
Okay, I like it.
Let's do it. All right, so I think we've sufficiently potted it up. I think you've backed me into a corner. I didn't have my Colonel Jessup moment where I said you couldn't handle the truth, but I think you did a damn good job grilling me. I think Sebastian would be proud.
I think he would. I hope so. If not, then we got to take some, we got to pick up some of those questions in those threads.
Yeah, we got to, not just questions, but calls too, Jig. Like last year we
got to
really
get some guys to call in, but we had a lot of nice suggestions in that think tank. So we're going to pick up some of those think tank questions and pick those up. Because I know one of the ones that we had, some guys wanted us to talk about some Euros. I thought that would be a good one. But there was a couple other good ones too. People wanted us to hop on. But yeah, we definitely need some calls.
I'm game.
I've noticed our views and listens have really been popping up, which is great. But we got to get you guys involved.
Majorly appreciate everybody who's jumping in over
Absolutely.
on the YouTube channel and commenting. That stuff helps with our visibility. Like really, YouTube makes it visible to a lot more people the more interactions we put over there. That's what I'm seeing. So, all right,
definitely.
Well, Rubber Rim Job, the good guys are back in action tonight, and don't listen to me. Like it's a long season. Cardiac was telling me to step off the ledge. He's the first guy that actually told me to step off the ledge, and I'm kind of backing off. Let me get my coaching change first, and then we'll see what happens from there. But it's going to be an exciting night tonight, so let's see what we got for those guys from Philly.
Let's roll.
Signing off.
Have a good night, everybody.
I got to put the thing on the board over there. Have a good night, everybody. That's the only sign I still haven't put over there.
My brain isn't functioning completely properly. Did we talk about the Browns at all on there?
I don't think so. But you know what? We talked about
we did either.
So I did start recording before the episode started.
Oh, did you really?
So we'll keep some of the pre.
Yeah, not that we need to. I was just, I was like, did we jump back in with the Browns? That was a good one. That was fun.
Yeah, no, that was cool. It was